everybody, and welcome to another episode of Pilates in Your Pants today. Here I am, I'm going to do a prenatal session today, so an exercise Pilates session for the pregnant lady. So before we start, the classes on here are primarily for the clients that I'm already seeing. So hopefully I have seen you already at some stage. We've undergone a pre-screen of some kind. I know that you're fit and well to participate in this class. Really what we need to be thinking about is whether there has been any changes to your medical status since I last saw you. So whether you have developed any gestational diabetes, whether you are sort of generally unwell, obviously with the current situation the way it is, there's lots of interesting bugs and germs flying around. So really what I want to make sure is that you haven't got anything new, you have not been leaking any fluid, you haven't been bleeding, and you haven't got any unexplained pain, particularly abdominal pain, haven't had any cramping. Any issues that you're not happy with, really important to get advice from your midwife or your GP before you do this class. But if you've got any questions about whether you should or shouldn't do this class, please do drop me a message before you start, and we can go through a bit of a pre-screen first beforehand. The class is designed for all stages of pregnancy, so first, second and third trimesters. We can modify different exercises according to sort of how pregnant you are. But the class is suitable for all stages, and really as long as you're fit and well, you can continue doing this class all the way up to when you actually go into labour. It's great to keep active during your pregnancy. And if you can try and do some sort of general exercise every day. If you're not used to exercising, if you start off just doing 15-minute sessions and aim for about 3 times a week. But if you are fine and have exercised in the past, you can really try and do something every day. So the NHS guidance is to try and do 30 minutes of gentle exercise every day during pregnancy. We want to make sure that you keep well hydrated throughout your exercise session. So make sure you've got a drink. Make sure that there's plenty of airflow, so the room isn't too hot particularly. And make sure that you don't get too out of breath when you're exercising. I mean, this isn't the kind of class where you're going to get massively out of breath anyway, but you should be able to maintain a conversation quite easily as you're exercising, and that goes for any type of exercise that you're doing. So those are the key things to think about. So as usual, any problems whatsoever, do get in touch. Stop immediately if you've got any pain or problems, or if you're just not happy, and pop me a message. We're just going to start just with a little bit of education about your body during pregnancy and your pelvis during pregnancy. So this is a pelvis. And it's not the best pelvis model, but it'll do for now. So this is me sat here. Okay, so this is the brim of my pelvis. So if I put my hands on my hips here, this is where my fingers are kind of resting on. So this is the brim of the pelvis here, which then comes down. So you can see that it's coming down to the pubic symphysis at the front, which is this bony point right at the front here, if I feel just at the front. Now this is a common site for issues during pregnancy. So as you develop a pregnant pelvis, you can get a little bit of irritation, sometimes a little bit of separation at the pubic symphysis at the front here. So it can cause quite a lot of bother for some women. So that's something just to bear in mind. Around the back, so this is the back of my pelvis here, and you can see that this red thickened rubbery bit at the bottom is actually the pelvic floor muscles. So if I just kind of reposition to there, you can see that the pelvic floor actually attaches to pretty much the whole of the bottom of the pelvis underneath. So it forms almost like a bowl. So if I turn it this way, you can see it's almost like a 3D bowl effect internally within the pelvis. So the pelvic floor are a big fascial and muscular system which support everything from underneath. So they support the bones, they support the joints, they support your pelvic organs, so your bladder, your bowel, your uterus, and they keep you continent. So extremely important group of muscles. Now the thing is, during pregnancy, because you get so many different changes going on within the body that are very normal, they have to happen to accommodate the growth of your baby. So one of those changes is that you generally tend to get a bit of a shift forward within the pelvis. So what happens is that you get a bit more of a forward tilt of the pelvis that tends to throw your lower back into a little bit more extension, or a little bit more of an increased curve through the lower part of your back. Now that can affect the pelvic floor, so it actually puts the pelvic floor in a little bit more of a stretch. Now if a muscle is in a bit more of a lengthened position, it's not going to be able to work quite as well. The other thing to note is that obviously as the baby grows, you have increased weight that is pushing down into the pelvic floor. So everything is just generally having to work a lot harder. There's more pressure on your bladder, so a lot of people tend to get stress urinary incontinence during pregnancy. So by that I mean when you cough, when you laugh, when you sneeze, if you move suddenly, if sort of sudden increases in pressure pushing down into the bladder can often make you leak. And that's really due to increased pressure generally pushing down, but also the fact that the muscles just aren't able to counteract those sudden increased episodes of pressure, and that's why you leak. Now, stress incontinence is very common during pregnancy. However, it's not normal, and there is also some research to support that if you have it during pregnancy, you're more likely to get it postnatally as well. So it's really important that we think about maintaining your pelvic floor health during your pregnancy, and obviously exercise is a key part of that. Okay. So what we're going to do to start with, we're just going to do a little bit of a warm-up on this gym ball. Now, different schools of thought with gym balls. Some people love them, some people hate them. I personally, in pregnancy, think that they're really useful because you're sitting on an unstable surface, so automatically you're engaging that little bit deeper into your core muscles to keep you stable as you sit on the ball. But it's also a lovely way of just being able to mobilise into the pelvis. We can work in lots of different directions on the ball, which I think is lovely. So if you do have one of these, really, really handy to blow it up, get it out, and you can practice some gentle bits on the ball as well. So we're going to start off on the ball, just doing a warm-up. If you don't have a gym ball, you can do this on a chair, you can do it in standing, you can do it sitting on the floor, but because it's such a lovely spherical shape, it's just fabulous to get that pelvis moving actually sitting on the ball. Other pieces of equipment that I've got for this class, I have got a band, and we're also going to use some little weights. Now the weights I've got here are 1 kilogram. For some of you, you might find that these might feel a little bit heavy, particularly when you first start, even though they're only 1 kilo. So you might want to go a bit lighter. If you don't have any weights, don't worry, you can improvise, use something out of your kitchen cupboard, use a tin of beans in each hand, or a small bottle of water, or just something that you can find, just improvise, that's going to provide just a little bit of resistance, because we want to work, we want to feel like your muscles are doing something. Just because you're pregnant, it doesn't mean that you should just be lying down on the floor breathing. And I'm a strong believer in that, we want to try and keep you strong. Labour is called labour for a reason, not to scare you, obviously, but you might give birth in a squatting position. You're not necessarily going to be lying down on your back for the entire time, and hopefully you're not going to be lying down on your back for the whole time. So we want to try and encourage strength, building up muscle. I mean, why not? Why not try and get yourself a bit stronger during your pregnancy? This could be the start of you carrying forward, sort of long term, a new type of exercise regime. So we've got some middle weights. I've also got a TheraBand as well, which again is really lovely to try and just gets a little bit more core connection, as we'll find shortly. If you don't have any of this stuff, don't worry, okay? Just try and do your best without using the equipment. You can always just do the same exercise without the added small equipment, okay? So let's get going after all that talking. So we're going to start just sitting on the ball. So what I want you to think about is where you are just in space on the ball, okay? So feet, knees and hips, we want to try and make them into a nice parallel line all the way through, okay? Try and ground your feet into the floor. So we're thinking about big toe, little toe, heel, nice and even into the floor. So I don't want you to be pressing back too much onto your heels, onto your toes, and you should feel like your weight is even from one leg to the other, okay? We're going to move up to the pelvis. Now, I want you to try and make sure that your pelvis is in a neutral position. Now, I bang on about this all the time, and this isn't something that's probably new for you, but we're going to go through it again. So if you rest your hands onto the brim of your pelvis, now I want you to think about your tailbone. So the tailbone is the pointed tip right at the very base of your pelvis. And it's really what we're trying to think about when we're tilting through the pelvis. So what I want you to do is we're going to tuck the tailbone under as much as you can. Now, when you do this, I don't want you to lean your whole body back. I don't want you to lean your whole body forward. We're just moving the pelvis. So try and think about keeping shoulders over pelvis, ribs over pelvis. And we're just going to tuck tailbone under. So you're just deepening. You can just hopefully feel a little bit more deepening coming through into your abdominals. And then again, thinking about the tailbone, we're going to arch back the opposite direction, as long as that feels comfortable, okay? So tailbone is going to tuck under, and then tailbone back opposite direction. And we're just going to keep going. Now let's bring your breathing in with it. So on the next one, I want you to take a breath in. Breathe out as you tuck the tailbone under. Breathe in as you come back off. And again, breathe out, tailbone under. Breathe in, come back off. Let's do 2 more. It's just lovely just to move the pelvis. And the thing is, because you're, particularly if you're in your 3rd trimester now, your pelvis is really going to be anteriorly tilted. So you're basically going to be in this position. Okay, so deepened curve here, more likely to get back pain, pelvis thrown forward, potentially a bit of pelvic pain. Your muscles around the pelvis, because it tilts so much, they switch off. So your glutes on the side switch off, your glutes at the back switch off, your tummy muscles obviously switch off because they're massively stretched. So generally you've just got this lack of support around the pelvis muscle-wise, which is why pelvic pain and back pain are so common during pregnancy. So what we're trying to do here is we're just trying to reverse the curve. So we're just trying to tuck the tailbone back opposite direction and then come back off again. And again, so tuck under, and come back off. And then what we're going to do is just come into neutral. So we're going to tuck under, and then I just want you to think about your sitting bones, and we're just going to make sure that you're sitting right on top. You're going to lengthen up tall towards the ceiling, and that should be hopefully a nice, comfortable, neutral position. Okay? So what we don't want is to be overarched. We don't want to be slumped. We just want to be comfortably in the middle. So now we're in neutral, we're going to think about your core, so activating into your core, okay? So nice neutral position. Now, we've talked about pelvic floor. So your pelvic floor is a bowl of muscle. It sits underneath the pelvis. It's connected to all of the bony points underneath. Now, your pelvic floor has a couple of different roles, which we won't go into right now. But what we're trying to do when we engage the pelvic floor is we're trying to squeeze first. We're trying to get a connection with the muscle, but then we want to try and create a little bit of a sense of a lift when you contract the muscle, okay? So it's a squeeze and it's a lift. So we're going to do some pelvic floor activations now. I want you to think about your back passage. So underneath, obviously, you have your 3 openings. You have your back passage, your middle passage, your front passage, okay? Now, recent research has shown that if you activate just from the back, you generally get a good pelvic floor contraction overall. So rather than thinking about stopping the flow of wee, which is how a lot of people used to teach pelvic floor contractions, I want you to think about stopping the flow of wind, okay? So if you imagine you're in a queue, all of a sudden you have a feeling that you need to pass wind, but you have to hold it, okay? So we're trying to really focus on just the internal pelvic floor, okay? So I don't want you to squeeze your glutes. I don't want you to squeeze your inner thighs. I don't want you to overbrace the tummy. I don't want you to hunch your shoulders. I don't want you to raise your eyebrows, okay? So everything else is going to stay nice and relaxed, and we're just focusing on that deep connection into your pelvic floor. So we're going to think about tightening the muscles around your back passage, but then I also want you to try and generate a lift effect. So one visual that I tend to use with ladies is imagine that you're picking up a marble with your back passage and you're going to lift it in as high up as you can, and you're going to hold it at the top, okay? We're going to try and count to 10. And then I want you to imagine that that marble is coming all the way back down again, and you're letting it go. Now you may well feel some connection coming through the front of the pelvic floor as well as the back, which is absolutely fine. And it's actually quite nice if you can think about both front and back. But if you're having problems cueing or connecting with your pelvic floor, just go from the back, see if you can just generate a little bit of a squeeze. If you can, then work at the lift. We're going to do a little routine for your pelvic floor now whilst we're just sat here. This is a really useful thing to try and do every day if you can. If you can do them more than once a day, even better. If you find it really difficult, you may need a bit of help with connecting with your pelvic floor. Now obviously at the moment it's really difficult for obvious reasons to get that help, but if you can try and keep practicing, you might find that things do start to connect. So we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, I want you to think about that squeeze and lift. So pick up your marble, lift it up. We're going to hold it here. I want you to keep breathing. I'm going to count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now allow that marble to come all the way back down. So we're letting it go completely. Let's go again. So squeeze and lift and hold. Keep breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and fully let it come back down. So you should feel a little sense of lift from your perineum, just drawing up slightly away from the ball, okay? Let's go again. Breath in, breathe out, connect, lift, hold it. Keep breathing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and fully let it go. We're going to do one more. So again, breath in, breathe out, squeeze and lift, and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and fully let it go. Now this time we're going to come up in stages. So we're just going to lift up about halfway, and then all the way up to the top, and then just down halfway, and then all the way down to the bottom. And again, so up halfway, and all the way to the top, and down halfway, and all the way to the bottom. 2 more. Up halfway, all the way to the top, down halfway, all the way to the bottom. Let's do one more. And all the way to the top, and down halfway, all the way to the bottom. And we're going to do some quick ones now. So breath in, breathe out to squeeze. Breathe in to drop down. Breathe out to squeeze. Breathe in to drop down. Breathe out all the way up. Breathe in all the way down. Out all the way up. In all the way down. Let's do 3 more. Up all the way. Down all the way. Up all the way. Down all the way. Last time. Up all the way. Down all the way. Fantastic. Well done. And just let it go. Relax into your pelvic floor. So we're trying to aim for ideally 10-second holds. If you can't do 10-second holds, just hold for as long as you feel you're able to. So you might want to start with 5 and then progress up to 10. If you can do repetitions up to 8 times, followed by 8 to 10 quick ones. And if you can try and do those every day, a couple of times a day, that'd be brilliant. So let's just do some mobility for the pelvis now. So let's go back to tilting. We're going to tuck tailbone under, and let's roll back off. Breathe out to tuck under. Breathe in, come back off. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Let's do one more. Then we're going to go side to side. So we're going to just shift your weight over to one side, back to the centre, other side, and back to the centre, and again, and back. Now, if you do have any discomfort around your pelvis, so particularly if you have pelvic girdle pain, Just be really mindful of how you're feeling with all of these exercises. Obviously, the aim is not to aggravate anything. So if you're finding that you're really getting discomfort, then back off. I'm going to try and do a separate video just for pelvic girdle pain, so if you watch out for that, if you're one of those ladies. So let's bring it back to the centre. We're going to do some circles now. So just try and keep your ribs just stacked over the pelvis as best you can. So we're not shifting too much with your upper body. It's all the lower body that's doing the work. Okay, let's just do one more coming round this way. And then we're going to come back round, opposite direction. So round and back. Again, try and keep upper body stable, and it's just the pelvis that we're focusing on. 2 to go. Well done, and then just hold it here. Okay, so hopefully you feel like your pelvis is loose and has warmed up a little bit. We've obviously engaged into pelvic floor and worked a little bit through there. So we're going to take it up into standing now. We're going to do some functional exercise in standing. So if you have your band, we're going to take hold, okay? And we're going to do a little bit of work, just setting your centre, engaging into your core in standing. So I just want you to bring your feet just underneath your hips. We're going to come up tall. Just think about where your pelvis and spine are positioned. So again, we want to try and find that as much of a neutral position as possible. So we've got even weight going through feet. So really ground your feet down into the floor, big toe, little toe, heel. And then we're going to tuck tailbone under just slightly. We're not trying to tuck it under as much as you possibly can. It's just a little tuck under, just to ensure that you're not overarching or anteriorly tilting into the pelvis. Okay, so do your best. Shoulder blades are down. Now in this position, we're going to think about pelvic floor again, but we're also going to think about engaging into your tummy. So you have a very deep layer of tummy muscle, which has fascial connections and functional connections with your pelvic floor. The two muscles work together. They work as a system along with your diaphragm and a muscle that comes down the back of your spine. So we're not just focusing on the pelvic floor, we're trying to bring in all of these other muscles together as well, because they work as a system to provide you with core stability and spinal stiffness and good posture. Okay, so they're very important muscles. So what we're going to think about is, I want you to think about just gently lifting up through your pelvic floor, but we're also going to try and tense a little bit into your lower tummy as well. So a couple of visualizations that are quite useful for this to get both areas cueing together. I quite like the cue of a zip. So if you imagine that you have a zip going from your pubic bone up to your tummy button, and it stops there, okay? Now, we're going to breathe in. As you exhale, I want you to imagine that you're very gently starting from the pubic bone, and we're drawing up through that imaginary zip, and we're stopping at the tummy button, okay? Now, if you can, you're thinking about connecting a little bit into your back passage like we were doing before, but you should also feel a little bit of a tensioning coming through into the lower part of your tummy. We shouldn't feel any movement going on around the spine and pelvis when we do this. So it's very gentle. You're not trying to do it as hard as you can, so it's about 50% maximal contraction, okay? So let's just do a few without the band first. So breath in, keep the feet grounded, breathe out. Imagine your zip drawing up, hold it. So keep the zip drawn up and breathe. And let it go. Let's just do one more. So breath in, breathe out, draw up your zip and hold it. Keep breathing. And let it go. So we're going to bring some band work with it. So we're going to take your band in front so your hands are just level with your shoulders. Make sure your shoulder blades are drawing down the back. Keep that lovely position, keep your weight grounded. This time we're going to take a breath in. We're going to do exactly the same thing, but we're going to add a pull on the band. So breath in first, breathe out, draw up your zip, tension on the band at the same time. Breathe in, let it relax off. Breathe out, draw up. Breathe in, relax off. Let's keep going. Breathe out. Last one. And bring your arms down. And let's just roll the shoulders a few times. So hopefully now, just from doing that, you feel like you can connect into your core. So we're going to bring some functional movement in with that now. So I just want you to bring your feet slightly wider. If this causes any issues taking the feet apart with the pelvis, then obviously keep the feet under the hips a little bit more. But we're going to start with some squats, okay? So arms are out in front. We're going to take a breath in. We're going to bend the knees. As you breathe out, we're going to pull on the band, connect up through your zip, and we're coming up into standing. So breathe in, relax the band off, bend the knees. Breathe out, connect up through your zip, and straighten. We're pulling on the band as you're lifting up. So breathe in, tension comes off the band. Breathe out, tension comes on the band. Breathe in, tension off. Breathe out, tension on. Keep going. Breathe out. So every time you breathe out, you're trying to visualise that you're drawing up through that imaginary zip, pubic bone to tummy button. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. 3 more. Now we're going to hold it at the bottom of your squat. Keep it down. Keep a little bit of tension on the band. We're going to pulse here. We're going to do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Keep breathing. 4, 3, 2, 1. And come up. We're going to do that one more time. Come down again. A little bit of tension on your band. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come up. Well done. Roll your shoulders. Now remember, if you need to have a drink at any point, just have one. Stop, have a rest, okay? So we're going to do some lunges as well. Now lunges are really good for legs, useful for pregnancy, but not so much if you've got pelvic girdle pain. So not the best exercise to do. So again, if you're not happy, don't do it, and wait for my pelvic girdle pain exercise session that I'm going to post, okay? So we want to try and make sure that the pelvis is as level as you can be, okay, which is difficult in this position. We're going to lift the back heel. Now remember, it's down and up, not forward and back, okay? So it's the back leg doing the work. We're just going to sink down with that knee, come back up. Make sure you're not leaning forward onto your front leg and backwards. The other thing to remember is that as you're coming down into your lunge, we don't want that front knee to sweep forward and inwards, okay? So we just want to try and keep the knee angling out over the midfoot as you come down. So we're going to add in your band again if you want to. So we're going to hold your band in front. We're going to breathe in, breathe out, pull on the band as you lift. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Every time you breathe out, connect up through your imaginary zip. Stop if you need to. 3 more. Last one we're going to hold, we're going to pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, come up, well done. Shake that leg off. Whew. And we're going to do the same on the other side, okay? So again, set yourself up, make sure both feet are pointing forwards, lift the back heel, connect into that zip, arms in front, breathe in, come down, breathe out, come up, little tension on the band as you lift. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Last 3, breathe in, breathe out, in, out, in, out, and pulse for 10 at the bottom. Keep that tension on the band. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. come up. Excellent. Fantastic. So, we're going to come down onto the mat now, okay? So we're going to come onto hands and knees to start with. Just going to move those out of the way a moment. So I have here just a little 1-inch pad just to go underneath my knees. You don't have to use anything, but if you feel like your knees do dig into the floor a bit, then you may wish to use something like a rolled up towel or a little cushion or something just to support. So knees are going to go underneath hips. We're going to take the hands wherever you feel comfortable really. So bearing in mind that a lot of pregnant women do get wrist issues, just put your hands where they feel comfy. You can make a fist instead, which neutralises your wrist position. You can take your hands a little bit further forwards, you can take them a bit wider than your shoulders. Just put them wherever you feel comfy, okay? So we're going to draw the shoulder blades down your back. Take a breath in here, breathe out. We're going to scoot the tailbone under, curl up through the spine, drop your chin onto your chest. Hold it at the top for a breath in. Breathe out, we're going to come back down opposite direction. So we're keeping shoulder blades down the whole time. Now when you're coming back down into this position, make sure that you're not overarching into your back, because you might find that feels quite uncomfortable because you're already likely to be arching because you're pregnant, okay? So you might just want to come back to neutral rather than overextending. So breath in, breathe out, tailbone under, curling up. Breath in, hold. And breathe out, come back down. Let's keep going. Breathe out, come up. Breath in, hold. Breathe out, come down. We're going to keep going. Let's do 2 more. And just have a breather. So stretch out your arms. You can open your knees up a little bit if you want, if your bump is in the way. Come down, hold, breathe. Let everything go. So we're going to stay in this position just for a little bit longer. We're going to do a little bit of work for the core again and for the legs, okay? So, again, pelvic girdle pain may or may not feel nice with this, so just be very careful, okay? So we're going to try and just make sure that you're in neutral first, so shoulder blades are down, nice neutral spine, so if you tuck tailbone under, reverse away, come into the middle. We're going to keep that zip drawn into that lower tummy. And we're going to take a breath in. We're going to bring one knee in towards your chest, but without arching the spine. And then breathe out. We're going to stretch it out. Breathe in. Bring the leg in. Breathe out. Press it out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now, if this is too much, having the foot away from the floor, you can just slide the leg out behind, slide it back in. Okay, but again, just making sure that your spine stays in neutral. So just do that at the level that you're happy with. Lift the foot to make it harder. Keep the foot down to make it easier. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. 2 more. Last one, we're going to hold it. Keep the legs straight. We're going to come down. And we're going to come up. And again, down and up, down and up. 2 more. Again, when you're doing this, it's really easy to let your spine arch. So try to keep that nice neutral spine. Bring yourself in. Little rest before we do the other side. So again, sink down, hold. Go back to breathing. So we're going to do the same on the other side. So set yourself up, same again. We're going to bring the leg in, stretch it out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Foot down if you want to make it a little bit easier. Shoulder blades are down. Last 2. And come up, hold it straight leg. We're going to come down and up. And again, down and up. and down, and up, and down, and up. 2 more. And come down, and again, have a little breather. So this is a lovely stretch for pregnancy. Just really opens up the spine and allows you to focus on just breathing and just letting the tummy go, pelvic floor go. Gives your back a nice stretch. It's a fabulous stretch to do. So we're going to do one more exercise on hands and knees. Now you have an option. If you're feeling strong, you can use a weight. We're going to just hold the weight in the opposite hand to the leg that we're going to be moving, okay? So let's do it without the weight first. So same position as before. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips, breath in, breathe out. We're going to stretch the leg out, but we're going to reach the opposite arm out at the same time. So we're coming into your Superman position, and then we're going to come back down. Now, easier option, again, keep the foot on the floor, just slide it away, reach out the arm. Harder option is to do the same, but holding a weight in your hand. Now, this is a kilo. You might find a kilo is a bit too heavy, in which case drop it down. But it's completely up to you. Just do what you feel. Just make sure that if you are using a weight, you keep the control around the shoulder blades. So we're going to breathe out, stretch, and breathe in, come back. And again, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Let's do 2 more. And down, great. Other side, same again. So shoulders, nice level pelvis, and off we go. Take a breath in to prepare, breathe out, press. Breathe in, come back. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Easier option, keep the foot down on the floor, slide it away. Get rid of the weight if you want to. Last 2. Well done, and have a rest. Come down and hold. So just a lovely way of getting those glutes firing off, okay? So next, have a drink if you need one. We're going to turn onto one side. You have an option. If you've got your band there, you can tie your legs together with it. Completely up to you, you don't have to. So we've got a loop and we've got another loop. Try not to let the band scrunch up too much. So you want to try and keep it reasonably wide, because if it's too scrunched up, it doesn't do quite the same thing. So we're going to turn onto your side. Make sure you've got support underneath your head. You can also use some support underneath your bump. If you're in your 3rd trimester or 2nd trimester, you might want to have something just underneath your pelvis, just to give your bump a little bit of support. So we've got knees bent to about 90 degrees. We're going to come down onto your side. Once you're there, just make sure hips are forward, top shoulder is relaxed, zip up through that imaginary zip again, so pubic bone to tummy, okay? We're going to hold that contraction, take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to open the top knee, breathe in, bring it down. Breathe out, come up. Breathe in, come down. Now again with these, if you do have pelvic girdle pain, please be careful. Stop if you're not happy, if it aggravates anything. Just do what feels good. Okay, now you can stay at this level. If this already feels like it's quite challenging, then just by all means stay as you are, okay? We can lift the feet and do the same again if you want to make it harder. So just hover the feet a couple of inches away from the floor. Press your big toe and your heel together as you open the knee up. So breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Every time you breathe out, we're just trying to deepen the connection into your core. 2 more. Come down, we're going to stretch the top leg out. Look down at the foot. If your bump isn't in the way, bring your leg back in line with the hip if you need to. So if you were to look straight down at your foot, you shouldn't be able to see your kneecap. Okay, so we're going to connect again. This time we're going to lift up towards the ceiling and then we're going to come down. So breathe out, lift, breathe in, lower. Now I want you to imagine that you've got a little blueberry just in the small of your side, in between your side and the mat, that you don't want to squash. So we're just creating a little sense of space, if you can, in between your side and the floor. Keep going, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Keep going, 3 more. We're going to hold at the top, we're going to pulse for 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come down. Last time, same again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And have a stretch. Brilliant. Horrible, those hip ones, I know, but we want to try and work hard. Let me just reinforce what I said before. So we're going to do some mobility work here now. So keep your head resting down on your block. You might find that you need a little bit of extra if you feel like you've dropped down a bit. But we're going to take your arms out in front so your palms are together. Think about drawing down through the top shoulder. We're going to hold it here for a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to open the top arm. And as you open it, I want you to watch the hand as you take it back behind you. Draw the shoulder blade down. Nice big deep breath in at the end. And then breathe out, we're coming back. So it's a lovely rotational exercise for your upper body. We want to try and keep the pelvis still. So make sure everything from the waist down is fixed and you're not rolling back through there, okay? So breath in, breathe out, open. Breath in, hold. And breathe out, close. We're going to do 2 more. Breathe out. We're going to take it round into a circle next. So similar thing, but this time we're going to take the arm behind you. We're going to rotate. We're going to bring the arm all the way round and down to the hip. And then sweep it back to meet the hand. So breath in, breathe out. Circle the arm all the way down to the hip. When you get to the hip, breathe in, bring it back to the hand. Let's do 1 more. Breathe out, rotate. It's a lovely, lovely stretch for your upper back. Breathe in, return. Well done. So let's turn over onto the other side. So just be really careful coming up. If you get any dizziness, just sit for a moment, breathe, let it go off. And then we're going to turn over onto the other side, same again. So although we don't do any really specific tummy work, in Pregnancy Pilates generally, we're working the tummy with every single exercise that we're doing. We're working into your deep core with every single exercise that we're doing. We're not looking at doing crunches. We're not looking at doing exercises that work your superficial tummy muscles during pregnancy. They're not appropriate exercises to be doing. But doing all of these will still be having a good connection into your core, okay? So we're going to come down onto your side again, knees bent to 90, make sure hips are forward, tummy switched on. We're going to go back to opening the top leg, bring it down. So feet are down on the floor to start. Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Again, as you're moving, make sure you're not rolling back through that top hip. Every now and again, check where that top shoulder is, because it probably will start to do this. So you want to keep drawing down through there if you can. Let's do 1 more. Then if you want to build, we can come up to level 2. Keep the big toe and the heel pressed together. Breathe out, open. Breathe in, close. Breathe out, open. Breathe in, close. Breathe out, open. Breathe in, close. Keep going. Obviously, if you've had enough, stop. Every time you breathe out and lift, connect that bit deeper into your imaginary zip. Last 2. Good, and come down, stretch the top leg out, point the toes, we're going to reach up, bring it down. breathe out, breathe in. Again, just make sure that the leg isn't too far forward. So try and keep the foot, the knee and the hip in a nice line, straight line, rather than bringing the leg forward in front of you as you're lifting up and down. Again, just make sure that you've got that sense of space in your side. So you want to visualise that little blueberry again, just in your side there. Okay, let's do one more, and I'm going to go into your pulses like we did before. So we're going to come up, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it down. Little breath. One more time. Up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bring it down. Excellent. Hug that knee in. Keep it there. Bring your arms in front of you. Back to your arm openings. So again, we want to connect first. Take a breath in, and the out breath, we're going to open that top arm. Watch the hand. Bring it back as far as you can. Breath in, hold. Breathe out. Keep that connection on and return. Let's keep going. Breathe out, open. Breath in, hold. Breathe out, come back. Let's do 2 more. And let's go into your circle. So again, we're going to take the arm behind. Bring it all the way round and down to the hip and back to meet the hand. And again, so round, down to the hip, back to the hand. 2 to go. Take it round. Keep the hips forward, so we're just rolling back through your upper body. Last time. Try and keep the shoulder blade drawing down and return. Excellent. So, lovely little blast for the hips there, okay? It's very normal that you'll feel the burn, okay? So don't worry too much about that. But obviously what we don't want is joint pain. So pain in the pubic symphysis at the front of the pelvis or indeed around the back. So just be very mindful of how you feel when you do those exercises. And like I said before, make sure you stop if you're not happy. So we're going to finish with some mobility work. So we're going to start off just having a little stretch. Now you can do this with your band. We're going to sit. If you feel comfortable to bring one foot in towards your, to rest against the inner thigh, then feel free to do that. If you don't, then just sit, just any old how, okay? We're going to stretch one leg out in front. The band is going to go around the bottom of the foot. We're going to support the foot with the band, and very gently, I just want you to lean down towards that leg. So we're stretching into the back of the leg here. Now, when you feel a gentle stretch, obviously just be careful with bump, because you might find the bump does get in the way a little bit. We're just going to hold it and breathe, okay? So just try and just let go into the stretch. So when we're stretching, let go of your tummy, let go of your pelvic floor, just focus on your breathing. So nice, big, deep breaths in and out. We're trying to aim to hold for about 30 seconds. Okay, so carefully come up, let that knee bend in towards you, and I'm going to stretch the other one out, and we're going to do the same again. So again, band around the foot, carefully lean towards it, hold it, breathe. Great, so let's do glutes. Now glutes, I always find a little bit trickier to stretch. Excuse me, my hair's falling out. When you're pregnant, it's hard to sort of really get into a good position to stretch your glutes well. I quite like doing one on hands and knees. So we're going to come into hands and knees. We're going to take one leg and you're just going to cross it in front of you. Again, this is not one for pelvic girdle pain, so just be very careful. Now, bring that leg in front. We're going to come down, so we're going to stretch out the underneath leg. You will have a little space for your bump to naturally kind of sit. And then we're going to come down and we're just going to hold. And again, I just want you to let go, breathe. And then nice and carefully, we're just going to come up.
And we're going to repeat that on the other side. So again, just cross the other leg in front of you, stretch out the other leg behind as best you can. And again, we're just going to come down and hold it and breathe. Great, so carefully come back up. Now this time, we're going to take your little ball in front of you. If you don't have your ball, don't worry, you can just do it without. But I just want you to place your hands on top of the ball. Open your knees up a little bit if you are in like late second and third trimester. We're going to push the ball out. We're going to sink down. So nice straight arms. We're going to drop the head down in between your arms and we're just going to hold it. And I just want you to just roll the ball forward and back, just really gently. So you'll feel quite a nice strong stretch coming through into your shoulder blades, through the back. And then let's just hold it here and breathe. And then I just want you to take the ball over to the left. So we're going to keep the hands on the ball, but we're coming over on a little bit more of a stretch now through the right hand side of your body. And again, just hold it here and breathe. And then let's come up carefully over to the other side. So over to the right, roll the ball over, stretching through the left this time. We're just going to hold it here and breathe. Fabulous. So, nice and carefully. So again, just sit up first, make sure you feel okay before you come into standing. Then nice and carefully we're going to come up into standing when you're ready. We're just going to do a couple of stretches with your band here. So just make sure your feet are just underneath your hips. We're going to reach the arms straight up, keep the shoulder blades drawing down, make sure you're not arching the spine. We're going to pull the band behind your head. So we're opening up through the front of your chest. We're going to stretch back up to the ceiling and then bring the band back down. So we're going to breathe out as we come up. Breathe in, stretch behind. Breathe out, press up. Breathe in, come down. So as you're moving the arms, just really think about making sure that your spine and pelvis stay neutral. You've got that gentle connection on with the tummy. Shoulder blades are drawing down. And on the next one, we're going to come up, we're going to hold at the top. And we're going to take the band over to one side. So we're just stretching out into your side. Oh, it's a nice click there. And come back up. So again, other side. And come back up. We'll do one more each way. It's amazing how tight you get through your rib cage as well during pregnancy. So this is a lovely one to do. And come back up. And bring your arms down, and we'll just finish just with some nice big deep shoulder rolls. So hopefully you feel okay after that class. And like I've mentioned before, any issues whatsoever, drop me a message. If you're not happy for any reason, drop me a message. But hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully it's fired up your legs and your glutes, and you feel like you're connecting more with your pelvic floor and your core. And I look forward to joining you again, hopefully on another class soon. In the meantime, enjoy your day. It's beautiful out there. Go and grab yourself a lovely coffee or herbal tea or whatever it is that you love, and go and treat yourself and make the most of we'll make the best of these crazy weird times. And I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.